Hello and welcome to the Game Lore Archives. We're doing this for the third time because the first time the recording, just didn't work, and the second time Joe decided to do no punctuation at all. So the script of 7 pages lasted about 10 minutes.
So today we'll be exploring the first game in the Elder Scrolls timeline, the Elder Scrolls Online, or ESO as it's become known. There's a full stop there, so I'll stop the sentence.
Sounds like a song, doesn't it? ESO, or a chant. ESO, ESO.
The events are set in the Second Era after the death of the last Potentate Severin Chorak and the rise of Tiber Septim. With the Ruby Throne unoccupied, there was a great deal of fighting and bloodshed as almost all of Tamriel descended into chaos and every leader with power scrabbled to control the Empire.
One such man was Varen Aquilarius. Now, whether Varen's ascension to the throne was planned or it was an opportunity he took as a consequence of the following events, we're not really sure. He was born the son of Colovian Duke and became the Duke of Coral when he was older. During this time, the third of the Longhouse Emperors, Leovic, took the Ruby Throne and legalised Daedra worship across all of the Empire.
Don't know, maybe his PR guy was a spoon and thought that everyone would be totally fine with this and there'd be no backlash whatsoever.
So, needless to say, there was a massive uproar and probably conversations just like the one we had around the dinner table. Like, why did he keep doing this? So, Varen left the Gold Coast under the protection of his nephew and created Varen's Wall. This was a massive wall that surrounded the Gold Coast to protect it from invasion. From here, he raised an army from all over the Colovian Highlands and contacted Abner Tharn, the Empress Battle Mage, to help push the reachment of the Longhouse Emperor out of the Ruby Throne in the White Gold Tower. Varen based his rebellion out of Bruma and had many military victories all across Cyrodiil. Soon, his army was in position to storm the Imperial City and the tower within. Varen defeated Leovac, who was the emperor at the time, by stabbing him through the heart at the bottom of the throne. Varen declared himself emperor. As thanks to Abner's assistance, Varen took Abner's sister, the now widowed Sylvia Tharn, as his wife. He then made a memorial garden to bury the casualties of uprising.
Varen's rule was mostly peaceful, but one thing always nagged at him.
Like the Longhouse Emperors he recently booted out,
he was an illegitimate emperor. He knew that a Dragonborn is the only one who can truly rule the Empire, so he set out to find the Amulet of Kings along with his 4 companions. They were imaginatively named the 5 Companions. They consisted of Varen, Lyris Titanborn, Manimarco, Sai Sahan, and Abner Tharn. Sounds like a rap setup, doesn't it? Lyris is a huge warrior from Skyrim. Her father had giant blood in him, and so when she was born, due to her size, her mother died in childbirth. Her father loved her nonetheless, and when she grew up, she joined the Empire's military, and due to her size and strength, she quickly rose through the ranks. Soon she became one of Varen's most trusted advisors, as she is as clever as she is large.
Sai Sahan was head of personal security for Varen. He was the Grand Master of the Order of the Blades. He was trained in the arts of Yakundan sword saints. His martial prowess was demonstrated to its most during Varen's rebellion. He rode at the head of a huge column of mercenaries who were hired by Varen to take Leowyn. As they arrived at the gates, the mercenaries turned on Sai, as it transpired that Leovac had brought their loyalties. The mercenaries and the defenders of Leowyn descended on Sai in an attempt to kill him, and give the leader of the Blades' head to Leovac. So, he cut through the 2 armies of would-be assassins, and when he returned to Varen in Bravil some weeks later, he threw down the scalps of 86 men and declared that Leowyn was free.
And of course, he gained absolute maximum points for being a hero.
Why would you defend an entire town with only 86 men? Not even all of them were defending the town.
I mean, I presume there was more of them, but I can't imagine
he could
fit
scalping them.
Yeah, I can't imagine you'd fit terribly many more than 86 scalps in your backpack before you really need to get going.
I feel like he should have stopped at 85 to make it seem that way. 86 makes it keep going. My blade's blunt now.
Maybe it's 85 in his pack and 1 on his head.
Just a skin-tight suit made of scalps.
The last member of the 5 companions we've not talked about is Manimarco.
Which, of course, we discussed in the Mages Guild episode.
He was a student at the same time as Vannis Galerian, but was his absolute rival. Where Vannis went on to form the Mages Guild to help use magic to enhance life in Tamriel, Mannimarco went to further his own powers. He convinced Varen that he knew a way to make him Dragonborn.
And of course, Varen, seeing his skull stabbed and sunken yellow eyes and evil frown, thought, this is the kind of guy I can trust.
Needless to say, Mannimarco tricked Varen almost immediately. Mannimarco did want to help the companions find the Amulet of Kings, but to help his own goals. When the amulet was found, he used Varen to weaken the barrier between Nirn and the Realms of Oblivion in the event called the Soulburst. This meant that Daedra could invade, and Molag Bal, the Prince of Domination and Enslavement, wanted to pull all of Nirn into the realm of Coldharbour in an event that would then become known as the Planemeld. Mannimarco did not do this for Molag Bal. He did it so that he could actually trap Molag Bal and absorb his powers to become a god in his own right.
Which obviously doesn't manage it in this game, I don't think, but he does in number.
He does eventually, yeah, because
He does eventually. I did the episode and the research on it, and I can't remember how he does it because he splits into two. Go and watch a Mages Guild episode because I remembered it back then. Just go and watch that one. After the companions were tricked, they split up. Lyris was captured and imprisoned in Coldharbour. Sai managed to take the amulet and hide it in Sanka Tor. Mannimarco turned the Temple of One into a haven for his worm cult, where he sacrificed countless people and sent their souls to Molag Bal, and Abner Tharn stayed with him to spy on what he was doing. Varen Aquilarius simply disappeared. He was soon found outside the Abbey of the Moth Priests, and had lost his memory of who he was, and was in such a state the Moth Priests took pity of the vagabond who was at their door and gave him shelter. It was then discovered the Elder Scrolls, and he began to read them. Due to the prophetic nature of the Elder Scrolls and the way they record history, he rediscovered who he was and what he once was. He also learnt of his role of events to come alongside the Vestiges. But with this knowledge, there is also sacrifice that must be made, and for the Moth Priests and for Valen, it is their sight they give up. In spite of this, he continued to study of the Elder Scrolls using his mind's eye. Stories of Varen's prophecies reached Mannimarco, who mobilised a force to capture Varen and burn the abbey to the ground. Mannimarco then trapped Varen in Coldharbour, where Molag Bal ruled and kept him imprisoned.
And this is where the player comes in. A mortal in the Second Era, year 582, was sacrificed alongside many other people to Molag Bal. This person, however, was special and is to be known as the Vestige, which Varen saw in the Elder Scrolls. The Vestige awakes in Coldharbour and meets Lyris. She guides the Vestige to Varen, who at the time is only known as the Prophet. The Vestige frees the Prophet, and they both travel to Nirn. Unfortunately, Lyris has to take the Prophet's place and is trapped in Coldharbour. As the Prophet and the Vestige flee from Coldharbour, they appear in Tamriel in different locations. The Vestige is then asked to find the Prophet and discuss what needs to happen next. After locating the Prophet in a haven called the Harbourage, the Vestige enters his mind to relive the memories of how Mannimarco betrayed Varen. Once the memories have been explored, the Prophet asks the Vestige to find the 5 companions so they can stop Molag Bal from invading. The first they plan to save is Lyris, as they actually know where she is.
Lyris has been moved from a cell in the Wailing Prison to the Foundry of Woe to work for Molag Bal.
All these places sound so wonderful, don't they?
They do. When the Vestige speaks to Lyris, she says she can't leave because parts of her personality have been removed, and she needs them to be completed before she leaves. The first she needs to confront is her guilt of leaving home, and leaving her father on his own after her mother died in childbirth. He was murdered after she left, and she has to relive it in Coldharbour. Lyris is forced to confront and overcome what must be an avalanche of guilt.
She then has to relive the teasing that she received while part of the Imperial Army. This reflects the solitude that she felt. You enter into an area set up to resemble an Imperial camp where the soldiers would steal her armour and hide it.
Because clearly soldiers don't have much to do in their spare time.
You must find her armour so she can confront the issues of her solitude.
In the next area, she has to face uncertainty.
Lyris has a lot of insecurities, doesn't she?
And you see an apparition of Abner Tharn, who says he's trying to help Lyris. Her axe is on a mound behind Abner, and when you approach the axe, he turns into a clanfear and attacks. Once the clanfear is defeated, Lyris retrieves her axe and breaks down the wall, so you can then move on.
As you go into the Prison of Echoes...
I know where I'm going on holiday this year.
You see a projection of Sai Sahan, who tells Lyris he's being tortured for the location of the Amulet of Kings. His projection disappears and Lyris suggests that they should talk to the Prophet to see if there's any way to free him. The last thing you need to do is fight a manifestation of Lyris' fear. With this, Lyris is complete, and you can now go back to the harbourage. The Prophet will explain that Sai Sahan needs to be saved before he reveals the location of the Amulet of Kings, and that it was strange for Abnathan to go against Manamako.
The Prophet sends you to the castle of the Worm to see if you can find any more information on Sai's whereabouts. The Vestige stumbles across Abnathan, who tells the Vestige of Manamako's plan to trap Molag Bal in the Amulet of Kings and absorb his power and take his place as a Daedric Prince. Abner has no idea where Sai is either. However, between the two of them, they work out he is probably in the Halls of Torment, and due to the tension between Lyris and Abner, the Vestige can only pick one to take with him. After battling through the halls, the Duchess of Anguish must be defeated, and then you release Sai from his torture and go to the harbourage, and he reveals the amulet is hidden in Sankator.
The group travel to the Valley of the Blaze to find it's already been attacked by the Worm Cult. The Vestige seals off the portals the cultists are coming through, but not before Manamako summons Daedric Titan to fight against the group.
The Daedric Titans are a twisted version of dragons on Nirn. There was once a dragon called Bozicodestron.
Yeah, that's probably a good shout.
As he attempted to fly beyond the borders of Mundus. That is totally revenge for the...
For those bloody dwarven runes. He failed, but because he made such a good effort, he caught Molag Bal's attention in a bad way. He took the dragon to Cold Harbour, saying that he would be a guest of honour. The dragon was then bound and kept in the Tower of Lies. Here, Molag Bal tried to unlock the secrets of the dragons and their dominance over the mortal races. Bozicodstron did not let any secrets slip. Bal became frustrated and ate the dragon till only the skeleton remained.
I love that that's his tactics. Like, you're not telling me what I want, so I'm going to eat you, because then I'll definitely know.
He then used the rituals to resurrect the dragon, but he made it stronger than any before, and so the Daedric Titans were born, and this was the first. After the Titan is beaten, the Vestige must receive the ring which keeps the Amulet of Kings safe. The Vestige returns to see the Prophet and the other members of the Companions. They stay behind to help the injured in the Valley of the Blades.
Soon, it's time to retrieve the amulet, and the Prophet sends them to Sankator, which is a long-forgotten city the heroes are buried in. The amulet is hidden there, behind a ward of Stendar, which only the ring you took from the Valley of Blades can open. Manamako has a trap waiting for them, and he tries to force Sai Sahan to reveal the location of the amulet one more time. As the companions push further into the tombs of Sankator, Manamako reveals more of his plan to overthrow Molag Bal and take his place. I like that you need to do it twice. Like, you already know, but I'm telling you again because I like to brag. The companions head to the Vault of Kings, which is deep in the heart of the Raymond Vault. Here, at the heart of the vault, the amulet can be found alongside Manamako in person. Manamako is defeated, but his soul survives. A dark anchor appears and Molag Bal reveals he knew about Manamako's plan, and he's then taken to Cold Harbour. With Manamako gone and the anchors shut, the companions are free to finally retrieve the Amulet of Kings. With the amulet, the Prophet now makes plans to stop the Planemeld.
The Vestige is contacted by the leader of the Mages Guild, Vanus Galarian. It turns out that between the Fighters Guild and the Mages Guild, they want to stop the Planemeld. But to be able to do this, they need the help of at least one of the alliances. While this has been going on, Tamriel has been in the throes of a massive war. Split into 3 alliances, they vie for the throne.
Which, of course, we discussed last episode.
The Altmeriad Dominion consists of the Khajiit, the Bosmer and the Altmer. The Daggerfall Covenant includes the Redguard, the Orcs and the Bretons. And last of all are the Ebonheart Pack, which is made up of the Dunmer, Argonians and Nords. In all this, the guilds remain a neutral party and don't take sides at all. The guilds have made a plan to invade Cold Harbour and call a meeting of the leaders of each alliance to discuss this with them. Negotiations break down as each one's not willing to sacrifice forces in case one of the others takes advantage to make grounds in the war. This, alongside an attack from Molag Bal's Daedric forces, mean that none of the alliances pledge any forces into the fight. The guilds carry out the invasion nonetheless, and due to the small strength of their forces, they're scattered when they arrive in Cold Harbour. Here the Vestige finds the Hollowed City and Meridia, who guides the forces against Molag Bal. They use the Hollow City as a base of operations, and even the last Aelia king joins their forces as well.
With a secure foothold, the companions then travel to Molag Bal's lair, a huge fortress temple to himself. While exploring Heart's Grief, you come across Monomarcos being tortured, and you have the option to free him or leave him. And why you would ever free him? Thanks for trying to kill me all game, but it's on me this one, don't worry. Get out of jail free card.
You owe me, don't forget it.
So once you leave him behind, the companions gather to perform the sacrifice of courage. You must pick someone to be sacrificed, and all of them are kind of willing to be picked.
But I picked the insecure Muppet whose empire was fine until he started fretting about the small details and trusted the most evil elf I've literally ever seen, and as a consequence is absolutely no use to anyone with 0 combat abilities. He can't even see, so, you know.
So, with the sacrifice made, the Vestige gets the blessing of Akatosh. They tear through the Daedra all the way up to Molag Bal. He's cut down and the Vestige defeats him. Both Molag Bal and the Vestige are taken to the coloured rooms like Meridia.
See, the coloured room sounds like a paradise compared to some of the places in Cold Harbour.
Yeah. She explains that Molag Bal is not dead, but massively weakened. The Planemeld has been stopped, and the tear between Cold Harbour and Nirn has been repaired. It will take a very long time for Molag Bal to recover his strength, and Abnatharm flees with the Amulet of Kings, but he will not be able to use it.
And that covers Molag Bal's invasion of Nirn and Monomarco's attempt at power. This is the main questline for the Elder Scrolls Online. We've already discussed the war between alliances in the previous episode, so make sure you subscribe and switch the alerts on so you get all our videos straight away. And before we go, something that we want you guys to discuss. A lot of people say that the Elder Scrolls Online lore is incorrect, but throughout all of our research, it's been very well implemented. So let us know what you guys think. Let us know if you think the lore's fine or if there's something wrong with it. So thanks very much for watching the Game Lore Archives.